I think I'll go ahead and start the meeting, and then he can join us, when he gets a chance. The regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, this Wednesday, July 5th. Laguna Woods, I call the meeting to order. And so the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Director Stillman?
As we enter the 248th year of our great country, please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I hope everybody had a great 4th. We had great festivities out here. Hot dogs, ice cream, and here he is. Hot dogs, ice cream, hamburgers, band. It was a great day. So I want to acknowledge the media, and the next item would be the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? So hearing none, are there any objections? So hearing none, the agenda is approved. The next would be the approval of the minutes of June 5th, 2023, GRF Budget Operating Department Review. Are there any changes? If there's no changes, are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes of June 5th, 2023 are approved. Next would be June 6th, 2023, GRF Board Regular Open Meeting. Are there any changes? Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes of June 6th, 2023 are approved. So June 15th, 2023, GRF Board Agenda Prep Meeting. Are there any changes? So if there's no changes, are there any objections? No objections, the minutes are approved. So June 16th, 2023, GRF Budget Capital or Operating Review. Are there any changes? If there are no changes, are there any objections? If there are no objections, the meeting minutes of June 19th, 2023 are approved. So basically, I'm going to pass on the report of the chair and turn it over to Siobhan Foster, our CEO, for the CEO report.
Thank you, President Carpenter. Honorable members of the board, this morning I would like to share some key updates and information with you. I'd like to start off with a reminder this morning that there was no trash or bulky item collection yesterday. Obviously, it was a holiday, July 4th. And so trash collection and bulky item pickup will be delayed by 1 day for each for the remainder of the week. So please remember that as you set your items out or expect trash to be collected. Next, I wanted to mention that Manor Alterations and the city are co-hosting a meeting to help residents and contractors navigate the mutual consent and variance processes. The team will share helpful information about and listen to experiences with both processes. City representatives will be present to share information about city permit requirements as well. The contractor town hall is Monday, July 10th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. in Clubhouse 5. Members may email Manor Alterations feedback at vmsinc.org to suggest topics to be discussed at the meeting. Similarly, the Community Services Division invites real estate professionals to participate in the resales question and answer session during its summer real estate forum. The forum is Wednesday, July 19th from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. in Clubhouse 5. Seats are limited, so please RSVP early to realtorforums@vmsinc.org. Next, I wanted to mention Gate 2 and its upcoming closure for asphalt work. Asphalt overlay work is scheduled to take place on Via Estrada at Gate 2 on Tuesday to Thursday, July 11th to 13th from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Gate 2 will be closed to traffic during these times. Residents should plan to enter through gates 1 or 3 and exit through gates 1, 3, or 4. The gate is expected to reopen after the completed work each day and during non-working hours. Next week are the business plan meetings for version 2 of the business plan. The GRF meeting is Monday, July 10th at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. Third Mutual meets Thursday, July 13th at 9:30 a.m. in the boardroom. United Mutual meets Thursday, July 13th at 1:30 in the boardroom. I also want to note that the GRF televised business plan review of version 3 is scheduled for Monday, August 7th at 9:30 a.m. The last mulch day of 2023 is coming up. Mulch generated by landscaping services will be available for free to residents. This will be available on Friday, August 25th through Monday, August 28th at Clubhouse 3 and 5. Mulch events are for residents who wish to enrich soil in their private personal garden areas and garden plots. Landscaping services will continue to mulch all common areas. And I want to conclude this morning with a brief update on the new irrigation master control system. We're pleased to announce that the project is 80% complete, and as a reminder, is expected to save about 74 million gallons of water annually throughout the village and save about $280,000 based on current water rates. While the majority of landscaping irrigation is done at night, irrigation technicians are testing the new system in real time during the day. Technicians are running the systems through full-time cycles, adjusting spray heads and run times to increase efficiency and reduce runoff. The goal is to reduce overspray and get the length of watering cycles correct to reduce water waste and costs associated with it. And that concludes my presentation this morning, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the open forum. We have 3 minutes per speaker.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
can I make a comment on the CEO's report?
Sure.
Again, I know there's a really difficult time with meetings, but the fact that the contractors meeting is at the same time as our budget meeting means that many of us cannot go, and I just would like to submit my protest.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the open forum. At this time, the members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people no audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link, 981-3125-7242, or call 1-669-900-6833, or email meetings@vmsinc.org and have your message read during the foreman. So, staff, do we have any speakers today?
Yes, we have a few. The first speaker is Chris Collins.
Okay.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with an update on the work of the foundation on behalf of residents of Laguna Woods Village who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. So here's our new initiative. Neighbors Helping Neighbors has long been the foundation of Laguna Woods' motto, and many know sometimes means expanding the concept of help. When it was learned that nearly half the local ambulance calls were due to falls, the foundation began funding fall prevention classes and emergency response devices to assist residents. Another issue has recently emerged. It's planning for the inevitable. For example, suddenly being admitted to the hospital without a medical directive can become a serious problem. Who will make decisions if you are not able? Who will provide your medical history? Who will assist with aftercare planning? Being prepared can make the difference in emergency illnesses, end-of-life experiences for ourselves and for our family and friends. But many of us are reluctant to make decisions and have conversations with loved ones and healthcare providers, the financial and the legal steps to plan for uncertain future. Preparing a plan, though, can give you peace of mind and help ensure that your wishes are honored and ease the burden of your loved ones. So to begin the process of advanced planning, residents can request a copy of a booklet that's entitled 5 Wishes, which will introduce some of the issues involved from social services at 949-597-4267. These booklets were purchased by the foundation to help residents. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village is also starting a new initiative to help residents plan for the inevitable. The initiative will use classes with experts, television programs, and publications to explore the psychological, health, financial, and legal aspects of planning and to identify resources to assist with this process. So be on the lookout. This initiative will begin this summer. The programs will be published on Village Television and in the Laguna Woods Globe, as well as on the Foundation website, which is www.foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Please consult the Foundation's website as well for information about its many other activities, or contact the Foundation at 949-268-2246 or the Foundation at comline.com with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Philip Hermes.
Hi, hi. My name is Philip Hermes. I live at 3275 San Amadio, Unit P. I'm here today to address the process to evaluate requests for exceptions through the resident ID card possession. I'm not asking for a decision today, just for you to think about it. My wife Brenda died about 4 years ago, and my daughter said that for her to manage my health care, I would have to move to Laguna Village. And so I did. Julia, my daughter, and her husband paid $250,000 for half of my unit. Julia is classified as a non-resident owner. A non-resident owner is not allowed to have a resident ID card. Julia is now 61 years old, a retired psychiatrist, a busy wife, and a mother with 2 sons. She would like to take some of the Mac classes here in the village with the Mac Club to learn something about computers. I have communicated with Pamela Bashline and GMS on this issue. She directed me here. She indicated that 6,000 units in the village have 2 people, and 6,000 units in the village have 1 person. Since HOA fees apply to individual units, the 2-people units get twice the amenities as the 1-person unit. I'm not complaining about this. I'm happy to pay my share. I am in the 1-person unit. I just think that should be a consideration in my case. I am the 1-person category, and Julia would be using very little of the amenities offered. I'm offering an attached decision tree as a starting point for your deliberation on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Allison Bach.
Thank you and good morning. My topic today is pickleball. Pickleball. There's been a lot in the popular press recently, and over the weekend, a couple of United residents mentioned to me that there have been a number of accidents on the pickleball courts here, and I'm wondering about whether that is indeed factual and what has been being done to ensure safe use, proper training of players, and so on, so that we don't become a topic for the Orange County Register. Thanks.
And that is all.
Okay, thank you. Does any of the board care to respond to any of? Okay, Reza?
I do.
Chris, as usual, thank you. She's gone? Oh, yeah, she's back there. I was wondering if the foundation have experienced any increase in requests from foundation due to the economic hardship or anything. Have you experienced that recently?
Ongoingly, we experience more requests. And of course, we have, certain parameters for what kind of assistance we can give. And of course, it all has to be vetted through social services. But yes, we have, our budget is expanding, continuously, relative to requests and needs.
Yeah, that's important for members to know that there are more requests and you guys are providing a lot more support so they can help more. I appreciate all the work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Debbie?
Yes, I'd like to address Chris first and to say that I'm really happy to be involved with their initiative, and we'll be producing one of the programs that Chris mentioned for Village Television. And then also to Mr. Hermes and the MAC Club. The MAC Club is open to guests and residents. And if your daughter is a non-resident but she can be your guest. So she can still go to the MAC Club. They're not going to turn her away, to my knowledge. So just keep that in mind. And then for Allison, has she spoken to the pickleball club regarding her concerns? Because that would be where I would start. So that's it. Thanks.
The remark I want to say to Debbie, yes, it's open to the guests, but based upon the GRF rules, that guest has to be escorted or accompanied. That's a better word, yes.
Okay, right. But I also feel like, if Mr. Hermes wanted to, he could speak with them. They're very open to trying to help people. So I don't want him to just be dissuaded by that, Bunny. That's what I'm suggesting.
Right. Jim?
Yeah, and I understand there may be exceptions on certain things, like maybe the MAC Club, and then, perhaps a guest slips by, avoiding the rules just because of the nature of it. But I think what we're talking about here is an exception overall to the rules, and I'm not sure. I think that needs to be considered in a whole different venue. I don't think we can make a decision among us at this point, but it's something that I think he's asked us to consider, and I think it should be held. I'll call it, consider that and respond to him in writing.
Thank you. Juanita?
Chris, I just wanted to let you know that the Disaster Preparedness Task Force is also concerned with what you talked about. We have developed a list of about half a dozen documents that we feel everybody should have, and we suggest that it be in a red folder somewhere near your door. First responders are trained to look for red folders, and that way when you take you to the hospital, if you are not communicative, it tells them what drugs you're on, if you have any special needs, who to contact. It's got your DNR if you have one, those kinds of things that go to the hospital with you, and it saves a lot of time and effort. So I'd be happy to furnish the foundation with a copy of that, and you might want to include it.
At the recent health and wellness fair
Chris?
several months ago.
Chris, would you step up to the podium? I appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
make you work.
School administrator, I used to have to do that on the yard. At the recent health and wellness welfare, program, we decided we would give out. It's a little plastic red thing, and there was a thing inside. With
We've
all
been
that
giving that
information.
out with Disaster Republic team every chance we get. We usually have a table at all of the events.
Well, people were very receptive to people that came to that. I had never seen that before, but I think it's a really good idea. So it's really good to know that disaster preparedness is doing that. Joan Gramp, one of our directors, I think does liaison work with you, but I hadn't heard that, so I'll have to fill her in. So thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Siobhan?
President Carpenter, I just wanted to follow up on Director Bach's comments about pickleball. Allison and I will do some follow-up work and report back to the board.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. And your next, Raisin?
Yeah, it's Ms. Allison. There was a report about 10 days ago on LA Channel 6 or something, or not Channel 8 or something, about the pickleball and accident, and they experiencing more accident for the senior that playing pickleball. And that's inherited in any sport, especially when we are senior and we try to play like 20 years old and run after the ball. We realize after that we are not 20 years old. We need to look at our birth certificate before we run after the ball too fast. But yes, there has been, but that's a new sport and people that play in it are learning. But definitely we need to be cognizant and the club need to be more vigilant of telling people that what to do and not to do. I play pretty much a few days a week, and I saw people that stopped running after the ball because they hurt themselves before, and now okay, I'm not going to take that ball because I cannot be that fast or as quick as I used to be. So it's a personal safety and personal, common sense in any sport. Thanks for bringing it up. Yes, there has been a report about that there have been more injuries on the senior playing pickleball. Thank you.
Okay.
It appears Richard Rader was requesting to speak during open forum. Can I let him in to speak?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize, I did not see your hand. Okay.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Phil, I know that you put a lot of thought into this. However, I wanted to point out that we really don't have a policy in place to cover your request, except on a one-to-one basis. I suggest you request from us for an exception, a written exception, not come here and make a speech.
Yeah,
Okay, can you do that?
sure.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Elsie?
And I just wanted to add that as friendly as the club may be, and they might be willing, for the daughter to attend, I believe the GRF rule, which would supersede the club rule, would be, that's fine. If the club says it's okay, that's great, but you need to be with her because she's using a GRF facility. That's absent an exception, if it's just the way it is today. I didn't want her to be disappointed if she showed up and they wouldn't let her onto the second floor and she had to stand there and explain everything, or the third floor, sorry. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
I have one question for you, Yvonne. What should I do in terms of requesting, a written request?
Just write a request to Carpenter.
Okay, and request,
There's not a form.
okay.
There isn't a form for that, but I know that other people have written and asked for a special request for exceptions to the president, and then she brings it to the board in a closed meeting.
Okay,
So I suggest you do that.
all right, I can do that.
Okay, I think that
Thank you.
Yeah.
it's more
Thank you very
appropriate.
much.
You're welcome.
And Jim, you had a comment?
No, I would suggest that be handled in,
One-to-one.
I understand it's, because of the open forum, it's no longer one-to-one.
Okay, Debbie, you're next.
Yeah, I just want to continue with what I said to Mr. Hermes. I meant that he would go with her
I know.
to talk to the MAC Club. But when the MAC Club and the PC Club have their general meetings at clubhouses, there are guests there. I understand, and I'm not ever telling anybody to avoid rules because I am a rule follower.
I know.
But I'm sure that if she wanted to go to the MAC Club for help, if Mr. Hermes went with her, they could arrange something for her. That's what I'm suggesting. And since it's on the third floor, it is open access to the public. You don't have to show any kind of ID card, but we need to make sure that we start to do that when people are going to the third floor, because you can't always be sure that they are residents. I don't know that we have any kind of enforcement on that, but we might want to look at that, because there are things that we should be more aware of with people coming and going in our building. Thank you.
I would like to respond to that.
Excuse
Okay,
me.
this is not a debate.
Well, wait a minute.
No, we don't
She
do-
made the point.
Excuse me, sir, we don't do back and forth.
Yeah, I know you don't, but you allowed the other lady to do, right?
We shouldn't have. We,
Or shouldn't have?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, shouldn't have for me.
Thank you.
I work for the PC Club, and I can guarantee you they ask for.
Okay.
We
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, Richard Rader wanted to speak?
Thank you. Dick Rader, 270D. There's been an ongoing issue, and it happened again this morning, whereby I raised my hand during member comments. Now, it's happening, I'm sure, to other people as well, but this was brought out in a recent meeting. What happens is you cannot reply. I got a chat message from the secretary of the meeting asking if I still wanted to speak. I could not reply because chat is disabled. And so I again request that all VMS moderators of meetings be alerted to the fact that chat should be enabled. If that could be done, it will be very helpful so that we don't have to hold up a meeting and as I'm doing now and bring this up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. We'll have staff look into that. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, if there are no other, we will, the next item is the consent calendar. And A is recommendation from the Finance Committee, consistent with its statutory obligations as subcommittee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other, board member, reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of May 2023. By this vote, ratify that such review be confirmed in this month's board member open session meetings. So do I have a motion to approve?
You don't need a motion.
Okay.
Are there any objections?
Are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the consent calendar is approved. So the next item, unfinished business, is update committee appointments. Joan, will you read the resolution, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution 90-23-XX GRF Committee Appointments. Resolved July 5th, 2023, that the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on the committees of this corporation. I shall read just the changes. Community Activities Committee, no change. Finance Committee, no change. Information Technology Advisory Committee, one change. SK Park has been appointed from third. Landscape Committee, no change. Maintenance and Construction Committee, no change. Clubhouse Reservation Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Media and Communications Committee, no change. Website Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Mobility and Vehicles Committee, no change. Security and Community Access Committee, no change. Other committees, Disaster Preparedness Task Force, no change. Laguna Woods Traffic Hearings, Mark Laws has been added as an alternate from third. Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, no change. Select Audit Task Force, no change. Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, Mark Laws from third has been dropped. Chris Prince from third has been dropped. SK Park from third has been added, and Andy Ginocchio from third has been added. Executive Hearings Committee, no change. Finance Advisory Committee Group, no change. The correspondence remains the same. El Toro Water District Reporter remains the same. Resolved further that Resolution 90-23-26, adopted June 6, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move that we accept the update for the committees. Yvonne seconded.
Are there any, it's been seconded, so you have some comments? Okay.
Just a quick comment. I believe that United Mutual, at their
That'll be next
last
month.
meeting, they shifted around some of their membership on GRF meetings.
I think that'll appear next month.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure we knew about those.
Okay, thank you. Are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the updated committee appointments has passed. So the next item would be the new business. And the first item, A, is to entertain a motion to approve donation of computers for PC Classroom that are donated by the PC Club. So Joan, would you read the resolution?
Resolution 90-23-XX, donation of computers for PC Classroom. This agreement, entered into this 5th day of July 2023, is by and between the Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, and donor, which should read PC Club, who accepted computers for the PC Classroom. Whereas GRF and donor recognize the importance of community facilities and amenities, and whereas GRF and donor acknowledge the benefit of donations when they have a purpose consistent with GRF goals and are in the best interest of Laguna Woods Village, and whereas the donor has accepted computers for the PC Classroom which were received due to a generous grant from United Way to assist with the costs of paper, toner, software, and so on, due to volunteers processing 1,100 tax returns for the residents. And whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department Director of Financial Services, or Financial Services Director reviewed and affirms the proposed donation meets the criteria for acceptance contained in the GRF donation policy. That is, that it meet a true need of the facility, does not interfere with the intended current or future use of the facility, and does not require the relocation or other equipment or infrastructure to accommodate the donation. Now therefore be it resolved July 5th, 2023, that GRF and donor, in accordance with the described conditions and obligations hereinafter set forth, agree as follows. Section 1, the donation known as computers for the PC classroom, described below, are donated in their entirety to GRF, hereafter owned by GRF and managed on behalf of the residents of Laguna Woods Village by Village Management Services, Inc., VMS. Section 2, donation description, 21 Dell computers, location, PC classroom. Section 3, amount of donation. The total estimated donation is $13,505.91. Section 4, GRF reserves the right to move or remove and or retire the donation following cessation of the 5-year period. The term shall commence upon the date entered into and indicated above. Section 5, GRF will not replace the donation or community space improvement if it is stolen, vandalized, worn out, irreparably damaged, destroyed, or expires. Section 6, installation and maintenance. GRF shall be responsible for installation and maintenance of the item, including any reasonable repairs. Section 7, the term of this agreement is a minimum of 5 years or beyond if applicable. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution.
I second.
Juanita seconded.
Is there any discussion? Are there any objections? Of those, no objections. The donation for the PC Club is approved. Thank you. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve Garden Center Veggie Paws rental fee. And we will have a 28-day notification member review per Civil Code 4360. So the Veggie Pods are there to serve those who are not able to handle or take care of a large plot. And it's, I think Joan,
I'll read it.
Yvonne can describe better what these veggie pots are, but they are basically the way that they're built, that those people who are unable to bend down, they're able to stand up and do the veggie pots. But I don't know, maybe Elson once, I didn't see you there. You were behind the glass. So maybe you would like to explain. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Yes, the veggie pods were purchased in 2020 before the pandemic, and the project's been put on hold since then. So we are trying to get those in use. The idea, it's almost like looks like a big barbecue pod that, as President Carpenter mentioned, you can stand and do your gardening. You don't have to get on your knees, and it's not as not as much labor on the body. The proposed fee of $50 is in between what a shade plot and a normal garden plot would be. A normal garden plot would be $72. So this obviously is smaller, a little bit less of a fee, and it's not going to be making us a bunch of money for the organization. It is more for a universal option for people. Those pods will be offered to current gardeners to see if they want to switch over and give up their regular size garden plot. As you know, we have a waiting list for that. So if somebody is interested in downgrading a little bit, that might be an option for them to open up some space from the waiting list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So Joan, will you read the resolution?
Resolution
One more thing.
90-23-XX,
Okay, hold on just a second.
I just wanted to mention that there's only 5 of them. So we have a real limited number of them.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, Joan?
Garden Center 2 Veggie Pods rental fee. Whereas resolutions 90-12-132, 90-18-03, 90-12-12, and 90-16-18 establish guidelines for shared costs and fees. Certain fees can be imposed upon users of various recreational facilities to control crowding, mitigate overusage, and recover operating costs. And whereas the Garden Center fees administered by the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Board of Directors adhere to the shared cost guidelines established in Resolution 90-12-132, whereby certain fees can be imposed upon users of various recreation facilities in order to control crowding and minimize overusage and to recover operating costs. And whereas 5 veggie pods were purchased in order to serve those who wish to garden but are unable to manage the physicality of tending to a larger garden plot. And whereas staff recommends a $50 annual rental fee for veggie pods at Garden Center 2. And whereas at the June 8, 2023 CAC meeting, the committee recommended the proposed staff recommendation of $50 annual rental fee for veggie pods at Garden Center 2. And whereas at the June 21st, 2023 Finance Committee meeting, the committee affirmed the CAC recommendation of $50 annual rental fee for veggie pods at Garden Center 2. Now, therefore, be it resolved, August 1st, 2023, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the proposed $50 annual rental fee for veggie pods at Garden Center 2, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we accept this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote until our next meeting, August 1st, per Civil Code 4360.
Second. Is there any discussion?
There is a second.
Okay.
I'd like to propose one small change in paragraph 1 and 2 where it says recover operating costs. This does not recover all of our operating costs, so I think there should be a modifier in there, a portion of operating costs or some operating costs or something, because people who read this resolution think that this fee is going to cover all of the operating costs.
This is kind of standard language. And it's just part of the, and that's, if you want to. If you wanted to say and cover partial operating costs, I don't know that it covers any, really doesn't recover any operating costs to speak of. It's part of this kind of agreement.
But it's misleading.
No, if I can make a point.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, I think what Joan is saying is that all of these, I'll call it pricing elements, recover some level of operating costs by definition. If it didn't, we wouldn't charge. So I think this is just a standard kind of language. I think one of the things we're in the process of doing for the future is to better understand from a whole pricing level what level of operating cost should be recovered in each one of our fees. We haven't done that work yet, so I think that for me, the language of recovering operating costs is just another part of the shared cost philosophy of the village.
Reza?
Just my understanding that when the normal life of these pods are over, you guys are not going to replace them. That's correct? Okay. I just want to make sure that people don't expect you guys have more.
Okay, thank you. This was not a motion that you made. It was just a comment, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it was just a comment that we look at that
Okay.
when we do it for next time for
Okay,
approval.
thank you. So is there any further discussions? Is there any objections? So if there's no objections, the fee for the garden center veggie pots has been approved. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve Garden Center's Advisory Committee. And basically, this will be led by staff, by the golf operations manager, and is very, do you want to speak to that, Allison? Thank you.
Hello again. Yes, as you know, recently the golf operations team took over management of the garden centers, and in an effort to create a sense of community at the garden centers, staff proposes to establish this resident advisory committee consisting of stakeholders. It could be club members, garden center users, a diverse group of resident garden center users will be selected to kind of represent everybody at the garden centers. And the advisory committee will not have any disciplinary authority over the gardeners. It's simply to provide feedback to the staff. They propose to meet once a month, and it will be chaired by staff. So it's just an effort to get everyone on the same page and kind of rebuild that community at the garden centers.
Thank you. So would you like to, you have a comment?
Does this need the 28-day review?
No, it does not.
Then the date's wrong. Okay, I'll fix that. July 5th. Okay, thank you. Resolution 90-23-XX, Garden Centers Advisory Committee. Whereas in an effort to create a sense of community at the garden centers, staff proposes to establish a resident advisory committee consisting of stakeholders, including representatives from the garden clubs and gardeners from each center. And whereas a diverse group of resident garden center users will be selected to contribute unbiased ideas that benefit all users. And whereas this advisory committee will discuss various garden center topics and recommend changes to the staff and community activities committee. And whereas the advisory committee will not have disciplinary authority over other gardeners. And whereas the recommended format of the advisory committee will consist of a representative from the clubs associated with the garden centers, as well as several at-large residents that represent the diverse groups that occupy the gardens. And whereas meetings will be held monthly and will be chaired by the golf operations manager or a member of his leadership team. And whereas on July 5th, 2023, the Community Activities Committee reviewed the club request and recommends the establishment of Resident Advisory Committee at the garden centers. Is that date correct, Yvonne? What should it be? Do you know? June 8th. Okay, please correct. It's June 8th, 2023 for the meeting. So whereas on June 8th, 2023, the Community Activities Committee reviewed the club request and recommends the establishment of a resident advisory committee at the garden centers. Now therefore be it resolved, July 5th, 2023, the board of directors of this corporation hereby adopts the establishment of a resident advisory committee consisting of stakeholders, including representatives from the garden clubs and gardeners from each center. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve the Garden Centers Advisory Committee. Do I have a second? Rez, a second. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Yes?
Part of my commentary is fundamental. But an advisory committee usually is temporary in nature. The other thing is we also have a garden club, right?
Two of them.
Or garden clubs, two. So I am puzzled by the purpose and why staff time needs to be, staff is pretty limited, and why staff is required to oversee this in some sort of special way. We keep talking about, the cost. Well, every time we divert staff's attention to something new, it takes up staff's time, and therefore it's going to end up costing. And that's not the main thing. It's just the time and the time that they have to spend. So I'm just wondering what the purpose of this committee is.
Okay.
And I
Open the lines of communication. That's one of the things.
Mhm.
And it's going to be patterned after the Greens Committee. And they discuss, now, bear in mind that Tom McCray is going to be, for use of a better word, chair.
Mhm.
And it's just to open up lines of communication, take away, I want to say, power of some people. And just try to make the whole garden centers work better. That's all.
In harmony.
This
In
was
harmony.
recommended by staff.
So,
Yeah, and it was recommended by staff. Tom
Okay.
McCray came up with the idea because it's been so successful with the Greens Committee.
okay.
And it's once a month for an hour.
So is this, I'll call it, this is to bring everybody together in some sort of commonality? So what is the problem that needs to be resolved? And
Miscommunication.
can it be resolved without a continuing staff involvement?
So keep in mind that Tom McCray is the staff representative that's actually overseeing the garden center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hello. Yes, so back, I guess during COVID, the garden centers were turned over to volunteers to run and manage the centers. When we came back from COVID, staff started overseeing that. There were some difference of opinions across the board. So the idea of this advisory committee under this new management team is to just get everybody talking, to rebuild that community. There was a lot of distrust, I think, from our gardeners towards everybody. So this is a way for them to be heard, for them to give their feedback, to provide recommendations for the garden centers. The people there truly love what they do and they have a vested interest in it. And we want to hear what they have to say, but it's also a chance for staff to communicate what our rules are and why rules are in place, and just have everyone communicating on an even page. So the idea is just, yes, it may be temporary, it may be long-term. It is modeled after the Greens Committee, where Mr. McCray gets a lot of his feedback for the golf course and how he runs it. So it's just an even playing field to make sure that people feel they're heard and to get their feedback.
Okay, thank you. My concern is the proliferation of committees. And I do see that this is an advisory committee, so I believe while it's not planned, there would be a sunset on this committee.
Not to my,
No.
When Tom
Not
doesn't
to
feel
my
it's
knowledge.
needed anymore.
that isn't the way Tom had it planned. Go ahead.
Director
I'm
Hopkins,
sorry.
I wanted to mention that I think this is going to ultimately cut down on staff time, running around chasing, bad information, trying to correct information. I think it's going to actually be a time saver, and I think Tom approaches it the same way.
Hearing from staff, I stand down.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, raise it.
Yeah, yes, during the COVID, there was a lot of problem at both garden centers, and actually, sometimes the clubs were were part of the problem. I hope that this advisory committee is not going to give you more headache with the clubs. So you're going to have something on your plate that you need to kind of balance between the club's input and advisory input. Usually, I believe that there are more cooks in the kitchen. There's going to be, some sort of problem with the food. But I hope, and it works like what it did for the golf club and works for the advantage of the gardeners. So good luck with it.
ALC?
I have a question for Allison.
Okay?
So if we pass this and it turned out it was a really bad idea, what would be the process of undoing it? Would that have to come from Tom McRae or, I mean, because obviously a bunch of gardeners complaining in meetings might not be the best idea. I mean, what's the escape clause?
I don't know that, I mean, Tom would obviously talk to me and we would discuss how the meetings are going, what's going on, the effectiveness of it. I mean, that's what we're going to be doing if it works or if it doesn't work, to make sure that we're constantly doing what's in the best interest of the users, of the staff. So while I don't have an exact escape plan scheduled out, and I don't expect that to be a problem, I think that Tom has been there for a few months now, kind of evaluating the players, and you know, he's attended Garden Center Club meetings and kind of seeing where he can enhance that communication. So that's the main goal, is just to be an avenue for communication. And I do agree that it will ultimately save time, because it'll be a designated, you know, hour meeting where people can come and say their piece. And
sure, if it works,
if it
it'll
works,
be great.
yeah. And obviously, not everybody's always going to agree on everything, but the point is to establish that trust and that communication so that we can move forward and have an agreement with each other.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Joan?
I think the word advisory may be misunderstood, because it's not going to be a temporary committee. It's only if it doesn't work will it be temporary. So you might consider doing a little different title, like Garden Centers Committee, and leave out advisory. This just a thought.
That is a suggestion. We could,
I wouldn't change it now.
you don't want to change it now. Okay. There's always a way to dissolve, you know, the committees. It's basically on our committee. We'll be on our you know, list here for points for what's the GRF committee appointments. And so the process would be that staff would bring it to our attention, and we would dissolve the committee if necessary. So it's a pretty easy process.
But the Greens Committee isn't on our committee list?
No, it isn't.
So this would not be on,
Yeah.
but this would not be on our committee list then, right? I mean,
But I want to point out that Mr. McRae comes to each one of our meetings and gives a report on what's going on at the garden centers and at the golf course.
Right.
And I'm sure one of the topics of conversation will be, how is the committee doing? How is this advisory committee doing? And so I'm sure that he would be honest with us and share that information if it's working or it's not.
Okay. Jim?
I think the issue that we're coming to is whether or not this is a GRF-sponsored committee. And what I'm hearing is, like, the Greens Committee is just kind of, it's organized and people kind of agree to disagree or what have you. This sounds like much of the same thing, and whether or not it should be part of our standing committees or not on the list, I think that's really what is at issue here. Whether or not we should be voting on this. Did we vote on the Greens Committee, for instance?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Well, we approved it.
We
Greens
approved,
Committee years a long time ago.
we approved having it, but it's not part of the GRF standing committee. So I think that's a clarification. I think that, and a distinguished an element that needs to be clarified.
I agree with Jim. I hadn't picked up on that wording in the first paragraph, and it absolutely says an advisory committee. And you can just say an advisory group, or, I mean, because I don't think it ought to be, otherwise we have to have, are they going to have meetings, or are we going to all be involved? Are we going to hear a report every month from the committee? I don't know. I think it's fine, but I agree with Jim. I don't think it should be one of our committees.
But it requires a staff representative, and I understand the confusion based upon the Greens Committee, okay? And the question as to whether, we should vote on it or not, but we have all kinds of committees. We don't require everyone to be open and closed, as the board committee. We have advisory committees.
But I'm not saying don't vote on it. I'm just saying don't make it into a committee,
GRF committee.
a GRF committee. Thank you. That's my input.
You know what? I don't want to hold anything up, but I think it needs further research. You're asking us at this point in time, to table this because it's not necessary to come to the board.
Or just change a word. I mean,
I guess that's.
You could change
that's-
words. You could say Garden Centers Advisory Group, and it would certainly solve the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yes,
think,
I agree.
Okay, I want to make a motion then.
Okay.
I move to amend the title of the group to Garden Centers Advisory Group.
I second that.
And Reza seconded. Now you have to take a vote on that.
Okay.
yeah, I think that's really good because it's a GRF facility, so yeah, we have a dog in the fight.
Have it, right.
But on the other hand, we can always say no because, again, it's our facility. We could always dissolve it. But meanwhile, it would not be an addition to our regular calendar.
Right, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to change the resolution title from Garden Centers Advisory Committee to Garden Centers Advisory Group. Do we have a second on that?
Yes,
second.
Reza
I mean, a motion, and then a second.
I second the second.
Okay.
Excuse me, any further discussion? So if there's,
Only that we need to change the word committee throughout the resolution, not just the title.
I know,
Thank you. That's right.
yes, we will do that.
Throughout.
Okay, are there any objections? So there's no objection to the change in title, so the next would be, we need to vote on the resolution itself. Okay, so are there any further discussions on that? If there's no further discussion, there's no objection, so the resolution is approved. Thank you.
Hey,
You got your point across. Okay, so the next item is to entertain and approve the pricing rates for the electric vehicle charging stations. And Bart, will you please come to the podium and explain to us the changes?
I will be happy to do so. Good morning, Madam President and board members. You have heard about the current system that we have, so I'm not going to spend time explaining the different types of charges that we have. But what I'd like to start is with the table it's in your report, the first table that shows the current pricing rates that we are utilizing. And if I can point you to that, which is that we do not charge ourselves to charge company vehicles, that members pay 17 cents per kilowatt hour to use level 2 chargers and 25 cents to use the fast charger, and that the members of the public use 30 cents, pay 30 cents per kilowatt hour to use the level 2 chargers and 40 cents per kilowatt hour to use the fast chargers. We did a comparison of current prices of some of the surrounding charging stations that we have, and even though it's not quite apples to apples, they offer different types of level 3 chargers. Well, level 2 are pretty much standard. They offer the same charging capabilities. The fast chargers that are different, some of them are rated just like ours at 50 kilowatts, and some of them go up to 300 kilowatts to charge. So the faster, or the higher the number, the faster your car charges. So those faster chargers are usually the ones that you find when you're driving along a highway. You're going on a long trip to a different destination. You just want to pull in there, get a quick charge and keep going. And those will allow you to do that, where in a few minutes you can get enough charge to take you to the next charging station. Our chargers here are designed more for community use. The 50 kilowatt is the lower end of the level 3 chargers. And as I said, the level 2 chargers are the ones that charge us at a slower rate. Your attachment number 2 shows you, this is the one that I have shared with you, the number of times that our residents or members use, as well as members of the public, and how they use each one of the chargers. And you will see there that if you look at the month of May, that our members use more the level 2 chargers, and that makes sense. It's a destination type of charger. They come here to the community center to do some business or to use some of the facilities, plug it in, leave it charging. When they're done, they will have enough charge to do whatever they need to do. And that is the current use. Level 2 chargers are mostly for community members. Most of the revenue is generated by the use of the level 3 chargers, which is used by members of the public at a higher rate. Overall, on a month-by-month basis or on an annual basis, when you combine all of the different uses and charges, GRF is still not losing money. Let me put it this way. But the proposed new rates is an effort to keep up with Edison rates. And you will see that your table number 2, which was reviewed by the Finance Committee, and made recommendations to approve this one, at least for the first year, where it shows that there's no change to how we charge company vehicles, but it increases the rate. Their incremental rates increases the rate for members to use the level 2 chargers to 22 cents. It also increases the rate to use the fast chargers to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. And for public use, it goes up to 34 cents and 44 cents respectively for the level 2 and the level 3 chargers. The table is attached as attachment number 3. Shows this one again. This is an average over 12 months. For the current use, it is for the actual usage in kilowatt hours, and for year 1, which is the forecast based on current use and an increase in use of about 10%, it still yields almost a $6,000 increase in revenue overall. The Finance Committee reviewed this, recommended that the proposed rate be approved. There were other options that were considered by the Finance Committee that included automatic renewal every year after that, but it was their request and recommendation for this item to come back a year from now and review how we are doing and then make adjustments after that. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. So do you have a question?
My question, and perhaps this is for Siobhan, why does this have to go on 28-day? Seems to me that since it's been approved by endorsed by the Finance Committee and all of this, that this is just a GRF decision.
This is essentially a rule change, and I'll defer to Treasurer Hopkins, but that is our understanding, so it goes on 28-day review.
It is essentially a rule change because he's adopting a different policy as he moves forward. And it's also part of a strategy, I think, that has to be evaluated as the volume of this goes up. Because I think as of course, in California, over the next 13 years, everything has to convert. I'm sure there'll be some laggers, but if everything converts, that means that these numbers that are relatively small now get larger, including the losses.
I understand that, but I still think that this is a board decision and not a 28-day member comment. But
Well,
that's just me.
So just for my edification, what distinguishes a 28-day notice decision versus a board decision?
Something that affects the assessment for our members.
It's,
But all policies require a 28-day. So it would be, okay,
yes, it's a rule change, and that is how we are treating it.
yes.
Okay.
This is a rule change, okay?
And Reza?
Yeah, things that are in red, that means that's difference between the old rate and the new rate. For example, on current rate, village rate, 2,184 red. That's increased actually in recovery rate, right?
And if
I just
may-
want to make sure people understand, when they see red, that means you're losing money. But that's not the case here, correct?
So if you look at the individual line, just for level 2 chargers, for community use, that would be a loss of
Yeah.
$2,000. But overall, when you combine all 4 different types of uses, the net revenue is what you see as the total. But that is correct. Red means a loss, and black is obviously the revenue on the positive side.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that we are not subsidizing under any of those rates the members, because this is not right to subsidize for the electrical charge. Other than that, pay me for my gas, because I use gas in my car. So under any circumstances, we should recover our cost. I'm not saying that we make money off of the members. I'm saying that we should recover our cost and not to be in red with the members.
And I believe that the intent of the incremental rate is to bring it closer, and when you review this a year from now, you will see how these numbers have changed and make adjustments.
Yeah, but what not
Yeah.
immediately? Why we have to wait 2 years in order to recover from the members' charges? Why?
We can make any changes that the board recommends.
No, I'm asking. I mean, I don't believe that we should subsidize members for their electricity use.
Okay, Jim?
And I fundamentally agree with you, Reza. I think we have to get there. And I think getting there, should it be a big step for the individual user, or should it be a gradual? And I think what Director Mejia is saying, he has started a gradual path towards that recovery, whether it's fast enough, et cetera. Yeah, obviously it's not fast enough for you.
But that's the question, why we should do gradual, why we should not give the actual rate and not subsidize the year one. That's the question I have.
Yeah, and I think it's a valid point. I think what we decided, at least the Finance Committee and the committee that proposed it, said, let's get there, as opposed to let's all of a sudden make us there. So it's a matter of style and approach.
So I want to ask a question. When we started out with this charging and putting in the stations, at that point in time, did we fully recover the costs?
No,
No?
it was subsidized for the members from the beginning.
Okay.
And that's what this whole thing came up, that we should not subsidize members for the electricity use, because, if you buy an electric car, you should not get subsidy for.
Okay. So Elsie and then Egon.
I've got it. I agree with the two gentlemen to my right. It's like we're giving a convenience to our residents because they can easily reach the charging stations, as opposed to going into El Toro or going into Aliso Viejo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lake Forest or Mission Viejo. So that's a convenience we're providing, and that's nice of us. Yeah, but as far as subsidizing the cost, especially with the rates of electricity going up, I just don't. I haven't been convinced of that at all, and it was just something we've kind of accepted from the get-go. Because from the get-go, there was a reduced rate available for residents. And that sounded like, oh, that's really cool. But then if you start to think about it, it's like, again, I'm not I don't want to subsidize Director Rosa's gas bill either. Specifically his, okay, because anyway, that's what I think. And I know you've inherited, Bart, something that was already in place. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just generally, I mean, I'm forgetting, if my choice is nothing or an increase, then of course I'm going to vote for an increase, but I'd rather have it all. And if it's a shock to the pocketbook, it's like, oh well, what would be the shock if they had to go out and get it in town anyway? I mean, we don't have supermarkets where we give residents discounts on food. So I think it's one of those things they're responsible for. Anyway, that's my opinion for what it's worth.
Okay. Egon?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of tables here and a lot of different numbers, but I agree. But we should not subsidize even 1 cent of this, including the additional costs of what we're going to pay ChargePoint or whatever. We should change this next month, and we should recover everything. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, we put in the capital costs, so maybe we're not going to recover that, but my God, we ought to recover every cent of operating costs, because that's just completely wrong. I mean, we're paying a very small number of people in the village this bonus, and it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Juanita?
Just like to make the point that SCE does not give us increases in modification in moderate amounts to get up to it. When they do a rate increase, as they do every year, it's bingo, there's the rate increase. And we need to adjust to that rate increase because we're working with them.
Okay, Debbie?
I'm going to agree with many people. We should not be subsidizing this at all. We can't recover what we've already lost with the installation of the equipment, but this goes back to the long ongoing discussion we've had when we had the EV, when we had the energy task force, when we had all the different things over the last 3 years. The point of this was we don't subsidize gas, so why would we subsidize electricity for EV car users? And I know that's not going to be popular with the EV car people, but this is the GRF, and we're always under the microscope for spending money. We need to stop this. We need to recoup every cent of what it cost us for the EV charging stations. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments?
Hi. Interesting topic. It looks like the new rates are like within what others are being charged, and it's important that we get this right now, because as we know, this whole topic is just gonna avalanche up with respect to industry or commercial use, and so we don't want to be stuck with a bogey that we're golf pun intended, but that we've got that we're behind the 8 ball when this thing really gels to go. We're going to be more and more EV dependent. So we got to get it right now. We're going to see more of these. Thank you.
So we would need a motion.
Yeah, read it.
Well, I know, but if we're going to table it,
Yeah,
Don't
I'll
table
make a
it.
motion.
Postpone it.
postpone it.
Do
then-
not table it.
Okay, I'm
No.
sorry. If we're going to postpone it, do we read the resolution?
You just need to make a motion to do that.
Yeah, I make a motion to postpone for the next meeting, and staff bring the new rates for the review. That, the rate that we're talking about is recovery of the cost for the members. We are not, this is not like a fee of clubhouses or anything that we have to go and do. This is simple electricity charges that we pay Edison and the charges that somebody going to charge their car pay us to pay Edison. That's all we're talking about.
Okay, are you seconding it?
Seconded it.
Huh?
Who seconded it?
Who seconded? You
Juanita.
seconded it? Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I just had, is there some way we could just make a motion that we change the village rate to the same as the outside rate? I mean,
No,
is it-
there's a
if you
fee
look
there,
at-
then we're
it's
gonna
not
make
that
money.
simple.
Yeah, we
Okay,
are not
it was
gonna
just
make
an
money.
idea. I was just trying to move it along.
No, we're
Sorry.
not going to make money
Okay.
off of our members.
Jim?
Yeah, my suggestion also was to include the other expenses associated, not just the direct ones, but the indirect expense, and also include in the analysis, not saying necessarily it's in the pricing, but also the indirect expense, including the cost to install. And the reason I asked about the cost to install is, in some cases, we put them in because GRF needs electric vehicles, and in the future, we're going to need charging stations. But to the extent that we put in additional charging stations to supplement the residents, that would need to be spelled out too for future pricing elements.
That's confusing to me.
Okay, well, I'll lay off of that.
Okay,
But
and
I
the
would like to.
reason why it's confusing
Yeah.
is because it's capital, right? In order to be able, and so then we're trying to increase our revenue to use something, for capital. So that's confusing to me.
It
Okay.
is, and at the same time, when you start talking about cost recovery, where we're not,
Right.
this is not part of shared cost,
Right.
and I think if you make the assumption, let's just say that GRF, the community, GRF did not need electric vehicles, period. But we did it for the convenience of residents, but those who use it have to pay for it. We would want to know what it costs to put in.
Okay.
And that's
What
the
we
theory. That's the theory
need, what
behind
we
it.
need to remember, that we didn't pay all the costs for this station back here. There was outside money. That's why we had to open it to the outside. So our cost was like 25%, if I'm correct, of the total cost.
That is correct. 20%.
And there was
approximately
really, the
20%.
cost wasn't that much. And the understanding was we recover that from the outside user with the fees that we add on, and members going to be at the cost. So we are not going to make money off of the members. We're going to, put the fee for the outside user, which is most of the people that use those stations are outside people, not the members.
Thank you for your comment. That satisfies my need to recover. I'm just looking at that pricing. What you're saying is inherent in our pricing to the outside is a recovery of our, I'll call it fixed cost. So, thank you.
Okay, Joan?
On page 5 of 12 is the places where Bart looked, I assume. There are 9 different stations. So which of those would you suggest we look at, folks? Are you going to take an average cost of all of that?
Just from a financial analysis perspective, I would do just averages. It's just too difficult to go through that level of detail
Yeah,
for each one.
exactly.
So I would just take an average.
Average cost.
As he's done. But his average basically is below cost. The average recommended price is below cost.
But we should
increase it.
We should increase it.
Yeah, we should analyze it and increase it so that we recover all of our variable costs, which is what we pay for the electricity.
Right.
So just for clarification, we are not going to be using the actual cost of energy and fees for members. We're going to be using the average of the surrounding charging stations to come up
Right.
with the fee for the members, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at a loss here. And if I look at the current rates, I'm seeing a loss. And part of that is the charge point flex billing fee, but only a part of it. So I'm just saying we recover everything that we have to pay is recovered in the in the village rate.
But if we can do that calculation, then we can tell you what that rate would be as compared to, say, the average of the surrounding rate, but using the recovery as the basis and not the average.
When you say surrounding, I'm sorry, but when you say surrounding, you're talking about the market rate surrounding?
Let's say of these few charging stations that we looked at, we can easily come up with an average. That average may or may not recover the mutual expense. So what I believe, and just for clarification, what I'm hearing is let's look first at recovering what the mutual is spending, which means SCE rates plus any other rates that apply, and then compare that to the average of the surrounding charging stations.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
Let me work with you behind the scenes on that. Okay, I'm not sure if we're saying the same thing. You have to see the numbers.
Okay, but we have Dan and then we have
Looking
Mark.
at the charging stations around here, public charging stations, and the prices, I find that the rates that have been suggested in the resolution is quite competitive and reasonable price. So what our staff has recommended, I agree with it. This is a very reasonable price to charge.
It's a very, I didn't hear what you
In the
said.
resolution, the charges that have been done
Uh-huh.
is quite reasonable to me, considering all the charges that I see from public charging stations around here.
It is reasonable, although it doesn't cover our costs.
We pay for the
That's what we're
electricity.
talking about.
We
Yeah.
have to recover the electricity cost for that charging station. People use it. All we're asking for the members to pay for the cost of electricity, and no fees on top of it. Outside there, that's different.
That's it. Okay.
Okay, Martin?
You're saying it doesn't cover our costs?
And so your board members here are asking that we have staff go back and look at the numbers so that it does cover our costs, that we should not be subsidizing it to our members.
The question I had was, were the new rates developed with respect to what was in the nearby area, charging stations? It was just basically an average of those?
So to clarify, those rates that you see there were surveyed in May. It may or may not include the new SCE rates, and I will have to do another survey to see if they have adjusted the rates for the new summer rates.
Okay, we have Juanita and Egon.
I would like to amend the motion that I seconded to be that we send this back to staff to update the pricing to current SCE rates.
I second it.
Plus.
And, okay,
It's not been on the floor. She can do that.
she can do that amended. Okay, so we need a second?
You don't need it. Okay. The motion hasn't been stated yet. Oh, excuse me. Hasn't?
That's what she,
No, this is an amendment.
there is right, it's an amendment because we have a motion on the floor.
So we need
to-
to vote on the amendment.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to vote on the amendment, and the amendment is to adjust, to have staff go.
Update the pricing to current SCE rates.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Martin seconded it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, Egon?
I was going to ask you, what you have on page 5, the outside people, are the rates, are they shown published on those machines? If you walk up to the machine, is that where you got the rate from?
So I used an app for that, but they are available. They are public charging stations, so there are different ways of looking at the rates, and it is available. And one of those is going up to the charging station, tap on the screen, and it will tell you the actual rate on that
Okay.
day.
Because all of those, some of them were a little bit strange, but all of those seem to be well above the going PGE rate because all these people are trying to make a profit. We're not trying to make a profit, but we need to cover all of the electrical costs plus the additional operating costs to have ChargePoint come. And that should be very easy. And when we decide that, is that just a matter of going to the meter and resetting the rate?
So we work with ChargePoint and we set the rates that the board approves. And that can be done within a couple of days of approval.
Okay, because, we're dragging this out.
And I agree. If it was me, okay, I would basically want to look at what the SEC rates are and compare it to what our costs are and see if we would still be in the hole based upon our costs and the charge and whatever the company charges us for using that. And we would actually include all the costs as far as what our new rate would be. So do I don't want to amend.
You need to vote on the amendment.
Okay, so let's vote on the amendment. And all those, we got a second, right?
Can we clarify the amendment? Is it?
Can I state it, please?
Okay.
The amendment is?
Do you want to repeat that?
Yes, that we send this back to staff to update the pricing to current SCE rates.
Okay. You have a second?
I seconded it.
Okay.
Well,
Are there any
I
objections?
have a problem with that.
So do I.
It's too specific. It's too specific about SCE rates. What we really want to do is go back for the analysis so that we break even. And so that has nothing, it has something to do with the SCE rates, but it doesn't say to update it to the SCE rates. What we charge will be our discretion based on SCE rates, but full recovery of our cost. So saying to upgrade it to SCE rates, I think is saying that that's the break even, but the break even may be a recovery of some of our overhead too.
Right. So
So let's say.
I think we need to vote on this amendment.
Yeah.
And all those vote yes on the amendment? Okay. You vote yes, and then we have
Opposed?
yes on the amendment. So there was two, right? All those opposed? Okay. Okay, so you either have to read for or against.
This is the amendment.
This is the amendment.
This is the
So we
amendment.
vote against the amendment. Okay. So the amendment, so the motion on the floor is to have staff go back and analyze what our actual costs are and come back with rates that cover our complete costs. Okay.
members.
Yes. All right. All those who are for staff coming back next month, with new rates. So all those agree, whatever the right wording is here. All right. So,
Put your thumb down.
okay. So the motion is passed. We will have staff go look at the rates and come back with us with a new analysis.
We will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Yes. Okay. So the next item is, do we need to take a break? I do.
Yes,
So,
please.
5-minute break, all right? Thank you.
Yes,
Huh?
Microphone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your mic was off, so we couldn't hear you.
Okay, so the next item is the report of the Finance Committee. And so we're going to have Director Hopkins give that report, and then he moves on to the finance report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Chart, slide 1, okay. As usual, this chart includes all revenues and expenses, including those revenues designed for or designated for reserves and investment income and the transfer facility fees, and the GRF portion of the HOA fees. It also includes the contingency portion of HOA fees. Through the reporting period through May 31st, 2023, GRF had a net revenue of $2,065,000 with a total revenue of $22,246,000 and a total expense of $20,181,000. GRF was better than budgeted by $871,000 with total revenues coming in at $1,203,000 better than the anticipated. And that's because of the unrealized gain on investments. This was partially offset by expenses which were worse than budget by $332,000. And that's due to the sell-off, again, related to investments, of poor performing investments, which then caused a realized loss in the expense side to the financial statements. It's kind of a technical way saying that we have gains and losses. They're in two different line items. The overall impact of the investments we'll see in chart 3. Slide 2, please. Now, this next chart displays the operating fund, which includes non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $745,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $1,128,000, and that's offset by revenue worse than budget of $383,000. Slide 3, please. Okay. Now, this slide reflects the current market value of the GRF Reserves Discretionary Investment Portfolio. And it also shows the original market value at the time of inception. The current market value of the GRF portfolio is $18,685,000 as of May, and that's compared to a value of $19,031,000 at the time of inception. The market value increased by $476,000, or 2.6%, and decreased by $346,000, or 1.8% since inception in 2019. In May, the value increased by $67,000. And that's that $67,000 basically reflects the average monthly income now that we've converted the entire portfolio to treasuries. So with that average, we expect to reach equal to our inception value somewhere towards the end of the year. That'll be about, had we chosen to sell the portfolio back in, say, October, we would have been a year behind that. So we actually made the, after getting off to a slow start with such quick interest rate rises, quickest in history, we have since recovered, right-sided ourselves, and we're going to catch up a lot sooner than we would have had we sold the portfolio in October. Slide 4, please. Of the $18,685,000 portfolio value mentioned in slide 3, $15,982,000 is held in our reserve portfolio. In addition to the discretionary investments, the reserve fund assets includes the non-discretionary investments of $13,932,000. And when you subtract the payables of $72,000, the net reserve balance is $32,435,000. Next chart, please. Now, back to the operating fund. Of course, the operating fund has a more significant impact on our HOA assessments. This slide shows that what our most significant variances were by category, with the green bars representing favorable variances and the orange bars representing unfavorable. Among the favorable, we see that employee compensation and its related expenses are $902,000 favorable. And this is due to vacancies, continuing vacancies, and it's the same story. Bus driver positions, gate ambassador positions, we have positions open in maintenance, construction, landscape, and information services. Recruitment is around the year and round the clock kind of process here. Employee retention continues to be a challenge, I think, for VMS. When we look at the other favorable variances, materials and supplies are $283,000 favorable, and that's primarily due to expense accruals and how they flow. As the year goes on, this number will probably even out to not much of a variance at all. And if you look at the unfavorable variances, the net allocation to the mutuals, again, that's an internal number, is the highest unfavorable, with broadband being the next. And broadband is due to late payments of advertising revenue, believe it or not, and from our sponsor for Village Breeze magazine. And also lower advertising revenue in media services, as clients are moving their advertising dollars to digital platforms, which is another way of saying that our broadband platform for advertisers is becoming less and less attractive, and they're moving towards the streaming platform to advertise. Golf facilities are due a lower $151,000 to plan, and that's due to fewer rounds of golf than anticipated, and also some events canceled because of the inclement weather in the first quarter. As you recall, we had a lot of rain in the first quarter. Slide 6, please. Now, this slide shows our sources of revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we've received just over $3,925,000 of non-assessment operating revenue. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband, okay, and that, of course, that includes set-top boxes, and ad insertion, and premium channels. And that's followed by golf revenue, all right? Again, we talked about that. And it includes event fees and also merchandise sales. The other revenue includes the class fees, additional occupant fees, RV storage, equestrian, and so forth. And these fees amount to about 13%. Next chart, please. Slide 7. This chart shows, as usual, our largest operating expense is compensation, and that's followed by cable and programming expenses. Of the $16.6 million excluding depreciation, these two categories, that is cable programming and employee, account for 72% of the total operating expenses. Professional insurance, professional, legal, outside services, and utilities make up the remaining 28%. If you consider that cable and programming are offset, expenses are offset by broadband revenue, compensation accounts for 69% of the net expense, while the utilities and outside services account for 31%. Slide 8, please. The reserve and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown here. Starting with the first column on the left, the reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $38.2 million, with the restricted fund balances ending at $32.4. Included in this total are contributions received this year through assessments, the trust facility fees, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in process of $5.8 million for the reserve fund, which, by the way, is one of the highest we've had in the last 3 or 4 years. We've started back on getting some things done. And it's another $128,000 for restricted. And that reflects amounts paid for projects not yet completed. The third column represents the adjusted fund balance of $32.4 million for the reserve fund and $3.9 million for the restricted, or actually we call it restricted fund, but it's the contingency fund only. Slide 9, please. This slide shows our resale history from 2021 to 2023, and bear with me while I get some of my additional analysis out here. Okay. This shows that our community-wide sales through May 31st are 299, and most of these transactions generate a trust facilities fee. The firm analyzed that the month of May represents our highest month since June of 2022. I don't know whether, and if you look at the trends, it does indicate, at least for the last 3 months, there's a kind of a straight line. If you take the straight line from the start to the end, it does indicate that we are starting to increase those sales. I'm not sure the reasons why, but we're still very much behind. We're 16% behind 2021 and 31% behind 2022. So we still have a ways to go. Next slide, please. This this shows essentially where our reserve funds are committed. Of the $20.3 million appropriated by the board for various projects, equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserves is $14.5 million. And that's primarily for the purchase and replacement of equipment throughout the facilities. The reserve funds had a total appropriation of $98,000 remaining. Slide 11, please. We compare our adjusted fund balances to our historical balances over the last 5 years, and it shows that we are averaging $27 million in reserves, and of course where we stand right now is $32.5 million. Our last analysis, which is roughly about 9 months ago, of our reserves, essentially says that our reserves are in very good shape according to an outside analysis. However, we also know that there'll be plenty demand on our reserves in the future. So with that, I will conclude my report. Questions? Yes.
I got 2 comments. First of all, I would like to really congratulate you in finance on changing the colors on our reports. They are now readable with the dark black instead of the other two mutual, or the two mutuals still do theirs in light blue. And particularly when we're looking at it on Zoom, they are very, very difficult to read. And secondly, I would just like to remind the board and any of our members who are watching that yes, sales are going up, and it's really good to see this trend. But remember, we can only sell the inventory that we have. And the inventory in the village is tiny. It's 87, I think, was last week. That's not very many out of 13,000 some. And if we don't have units for sale, we can't sell them. It's not because they're sitting on the market and nobody is buying them. They're being bought very fast when they go on the market. But people aren't selling. So there's not really anything we can do to get our facility fee that way.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next would be the report of the Community Activity Committee. Director Horton.
I think I have a
Okay.
finance committee report.
Oh, I thought you don't mind me.
If
All
everybody
right.
sees the numbers and they want to move.
Please proceed. Yeah.
Just ignore me after that, okay. I understand.
Okay.
Okay, here we are. Just wanted to talk a little about what we did at Finance Committee. We actually did go through what we approved today, A, B, and D, and so we kind of moved that forward. A lot of the comments that we had here in our meeting today were done in the Finance meeting when we decided to move it forward because a lot of it required really that GRF make a call on something, on these things, GRF board itself. Just wanted to understand too that we approved all of those. We had lots of discussion. I did announce that the room rate pricing is still a work in process, but that the advisory committee is not on hold, but staff ability to accommodate us, especially when we go back and look at some of the details. It's just not there right now because they're going through the financial plan. They're assisting in the ERP. They're up for that in the sense that they now have to go through the testing and all those kind of things. That takes a lot of the resource. We also have the director of finance is out on medical, okay? And so the planning, the assistant director for finance and planning has to step up and take some of the responsibility there, as much as the controller also has to take additional responsibility. That, all of those things, and including some special events from the staff, you know, such as weddings and engagements and other things that young people go through in life, that's also taking up a lot of the time. So we just decided to kind of pull back on pushing that, but we still have to do some work on the room rate activity. And we're trying to put that into the process, the planning process as we speak.
So Jim, do we have an estimated time that they'll be able to come back in regards to the fees?
Yeah, the final outcome on the fees is going to be dependent on the advisory committee itself.
Okay.
But the work that will be done will most likely begin after we finish this, the next planning, when we get closer to finalizing the plan, because that's taken up a lot of the work, all those changes. As those changes become minimal, and I think we're at that point for both the mutuals and GRF, they'll be able to divert some of their time to assisting us with the numbers. The room pricing, just to give you a preview, the room pricing turns out to be a little bit more complex than was kind of presented on the, we talked about a 20% recovery, and I'll just give you a clue. When you go through the analysis, we've never even been close to that. So it's again, what do you consider the 20%? So when we started to insist on the 20%, and we came up, well, not we, but they came up with the numbers based on that 20%, they were way out of proportion to what they had been. So that's not a finger pointing or anything. It's just, we're looking at it a little differently now. We're going to start from the bottoms up, and we're going to make some rational judgments based on where we are, as well as where we need to be.
So do you think we'll be able to incorporate new fees for 2024?
In the
Oh, we
budget.
won't be able to do it for 2024. Whatever we get approved
When-
today
yeah, when-
or this year would be for 2025.
Well, that remains to be, see, that's all part of the schedule too. Because remember, if you take all the fees together, not just the room rates, there's a schedule that has to be adapted. Now, we're just working on the room rates. So we're not, the room rates can be done as soon as we are ready to do that.
Okay.
Now, that may anticipate a change in the process a bit in terms of when you know, again, I know there's a process issue with reserving the rooms. So I'm not familiar with how that impacts it. But we didn't get it right the first time. And so we want to make sure that the numbers are right and not have the schedule interfere with the correctness of the numbers. So I know that's a roundabout way of saying that we're going to start on with let's talk about the end timing that we need. And so with that in mind, then we can set the schedule. So does anybody have an idea as to when we actually need to come up with some final numbers? Because we can put some numbers in place tomorrow and then defer, I say tomorrow, but we can put numbers in place just by having a % increase.
Staff has a cutoff date, basically when we need to have the room rates based upon
Okay.
you know, for the following year, and I'm not sure, I think it's the middle of the year.
Okay.
So
All right, well-
we'll need to talk to Jennifer because she would be able to tell us what that drop dead date is.
Okay.
You know, for the,
Well, with that said, I realize now that timing is an issue, so let us come up with, I'll call it a stopgap level of pricing, if you will, and of course, we'd have to get that through the committee as
Right.
well as the finance committee.
right.
Through the advisory committee, advisory subcommittee, whatever it's called, and then through the committee.
And then
So
to
let's- yeah.
CSE, right.
So with that in mind, let me start the ball rolling
Okay.
on that. Because I think the stopgap, see, I like to fix the process. And so what
agree.
we're saying is we want to fix the outcome first and then go back and fix the process. I hear you.
I agree.
Okay. No, I get it. I mean, I do get it. I get the urgency, so thank you.
Juanita?
I'd like to point out that one thing that was endorsed in your committee was left off our agenda today, and that is the Security and Community Access Committee motion that was passed by a 5-1, and it says it will be presented at the next board meeting. The other things that were on your committee that were said that, they were on our, this isn't, but we really need to get that through. Is it,
Refresh me.
is it-
Was that a closed agenda item?
no,
Oh, was it?
it was an open agenda item. We basically our accepted staff's recommendation on this crosswalk situation and hiring a
Oh,
consultant
And hiring a-
to look at that.
Okay.
And it wasn't, but we need to do that because we need to get that consultant hired. Is it proper for me to make a motion at this time? I know it wasn't on the new business, but it is part of this committee. It's part of your committee report. And so I would like the board to vote on that so that we can get that going forward, because otherwise it's going to be another 2 months.
yeah, what she,
So did you already, they approved it, finance?
well, we approved the financial analysis of it.
Okay.
What it was there was a proposal to put a stop sign on
Mariposa
Sevilla
or something.
at Mendoza, okay? And the discussion, to do it was overwhelmingly recommended by there was a discussion as to whether or not we needed an engineering study All right? And that's that is the reason it went 5-2, was it, or 5-1? 5-1, because there was one member of the Finance Committee that did not believe that there was a necessity for an engineering study. I think we all deferred that when we do something, we're a large organization, when we do something of this magnitude, such as putting a stop sign, you want to make sure that you're dotting all the T's, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. And so engineering study should be part of any sort of major event like this, and it is a major event.
But the Finance Committee voted on it.
Yeah, we voted on it.
Voted to accept staff's recommendation and the committee's recommendation. So I would like the board to also accept it so that we can get that hired.
Okay, but that would be in closed session. Because you're asking for a contract to hire somebody?
No, the concept to hire somebody. We don't have a contract. We haven't determined who would be doing it. It's the concept that in order to do this stop signs and crosswalks, we need to have an engineering space specialist. So it's just the concept.
I think it was
Well, before we talk
7,000.
about it anymore, can I move that we amend the agenda? I know it's a little late, but with a 2/3 vote?
I'm going to ask Joan, because I do think we're done with all of that. So I don't think we go back to the agenda. We're only in reports. So to go back and
We can't make a
address this
motion
is not
on
appropriate.
reports.
Okay, I was just, that's what I was making the motion for.
I
is
know.
it- So.
I know, it's not,
So no, I can't make the motion? And it really should have been on there. I don't know how that happened.
we can talk about it afterwards and figure out what we could do.
I think there was another comment on the Egon.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to attend that finance meeting where that thing was there, but I didn't get to. So I went out to that crosswalk. And I asked myself, I went there and I looked at it, and when you're coming from the Aliso Park side, what the reason for the stop sign, and the only reason for the stop sign is, when you look to the right, okay, say you want to make a left turn, so you got to check, is traffic coming from the right? Okay, and there's a bend there in the road, and that's why there should be a stop sign. The question is this, if we hire a consultant, he says, no, we're going to not put the stop sign in? Did we hire?
Do stop signs and crosswalks. So it would
You
be
see-
four-way.
Point of order.
Point, I understand.
Okay, so
The
we
point- no,
need
let
to
me
discuss
Please let
this.
me finish talking.
Yes,
This item originally was on the agenda, and as I was preparing the agenda packet, I was told by Chief Nunez to remove it, and they'll add it to next month's GRF agenda packet. So if you have any questions, I do suggest reaching out to Chief Nunez as to why it was delayed.
okay, because he may not have been fully prepared with all the information. All right.
Next month.
Thank you. So we got that solved. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. All right. All right, so where are we? I think we're still on CAC. No?
No, we haven't started.
Okay,
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay,
Letter B.
I lost track.
14B,
okay.
Yeah,
CAC.
All right. First, I want to thank the Recreation Department for the great 4th celebration that they had over at Clubhouse 2. And a special thanks to all the employees that worked that event. They made it lots of fun. The golf cart parade was really nice, too. They had it started one at 5 and one at Clubhouse 1 and culminated over at Clubhouse 2 where all the festivities were. And the ice cream was terrific. Anyway, thanks to all. And I hope everybody that went enjoyed themselves. I can speak for Elsie and myself. And our president. Anyway, and second, I'd like to thank the PC Club for passing on their grant of 21 computers to GRF. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, and the driving range is a little bit behind schedule. Did you want to say something, Debbie? Okay.
No,
She
she's
just turned on
shaking her
her
head. Yeah.
camera. Anyway, our next CAC meeting is going to be on July 17th, which is a Monday. And it's going to be at 10 o'clock in the boardroom, which is a kind of out of schedule because of all the scheduling difficulties that they're having with the budget meetings and the holiday threw everything off. So hopefully those that are interested will come and join us on July 17th at 10 o'clock in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next report would be from Director Skillman, the Landscape Committee.
Landscape Committee meets every other month, so we did not meet in June. Our last meeting was May 10th, and our next meeting will be August 9th here in the boardroom.
It says August 22nd, so it was when?
August 9th.
Okay. Okay, so the next report is from Maintenance and Construction, Director Creamy.
Thank you, Madam President. MNC met on June 14, and our agenda was project log, charge fund summary, clubhouse prevention maintenance reports. Most of the projects are taking the normal course. Some of them, due to the weather, were late. Just examples, the driving range is still trying to catch up, but the delay was much longer than expected because we had very wet season. And the goal is to try to catch up, but I don't think we can but because of the weather conditions. The charge point, you guys heard about the rate. They're supposed to bring it back. Now I'm going to pretty much put it on the future agenda for the MNC because that's where the MNC generated the request for the pricing. The other items that we discussed, but on the bench relocation project, we got update on that, where things are, broadband HVAC update, that they're, the equipment, the specification, and installation. Was the equestrian security gate update we got from Mr. West. Driving range we talked about. Pool equipment, we are installing those. There was discussion about, other pool also, but let's do one at a time before we, go anywhere else. The welding shop. Also, we discussed the clubhouse one archery building beam issue. The decision was we asked the staff to get a expert opinion about the status of the safety of that beam before we make any decision what we're going to do with it, because it wasn't clear that we really have a safety issue, is very unstable or not. Since we don't have that and we didn't have any expert opinion about it, we asked for that to get it, and then we make a decision what we're going to do with it. Also, we discussed the RFP for the clubhouse one renovation. It was approved unanimously to go for the bid. So it's out for the bid. And as soon as it's come back, we're going to review that, and then we make a recommendation to the board on that one. That's the gist of what happened in our meeting. Our next meeting is on August 9th at 9:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next report will be for the Club Renovation Ad Hoc Committee. Director Garthel.
Yeah, so we have not had a meeting since the 15th. However, we did go out. It included Bart and included Guy West and another engineer whose name I forgot now. We looked at the beam in Clubhouse 1, and Gann was at that meeting also. And we came away with a different point of view as to what the problem out there was. and we're going to get some feedback from that. Gan wants to say anything about that. He's welcome to at some point, because I think he withdrew his consideration that the foundation was the problem. Do you want to say anything about that, Gan? Because that is important.
What he's asking is basically the review of going out and seeing the beams in Clubhouse 1, and basically what your opinion is after they had an
Regarding Archery
inspection.
Building, right?
Inspection, yeah.
Yeah, we went and visited, Egan was there, myself, and Guy, and looked at it. In fact, I found that I had a little confusion with another building. It is the building that has suffered some settlement, but they are measuring. I suggested that you have some kind of instrumentation on it so that we can monitor it and quantify how much it is going down. And if we find anything more than that is acceptable, then we will use a consultant to do something about it. Until then, we will monitor it carefully, as was suggested by Guy, but I included some sort of instrumentation, a gauge attached to the beam, so that we know how much it's moving. So that we decided on that day.
Okay, so this is the building, that's the annex building, basically, for Clubhouse 1, correct? Where they have archery right now?
Yeah, Clubhouse
Okay.
1 Archery Building.
Okay,
And that's basically what we decided on that day. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Okay, no, I have nothing else on that. Thank you.
Okay. The next report would be from Director Milliman.
Yeah, the Media and Communications Committee, the committee met on June 19th with the broadband group, broadband ad hoc committee in order to get approvals from the Finance Committee. Our next meeting for Media and Communications will be July 17th, 2023 at 1:30 in the boardroom and as a virtual meeting. The website ad hoc committee met June 21st, again to seek approvals from, this time it was from MNCC, and their next meeting will be to be arranged. The broadband ad hoc committee met, as I said, on June 19th and again on the 21st to seek approvals for what we have to do with the the change orders, which will be in closed session.
Right.
And our next meeting for MNCC will be, as I say, July 17th at 1:30. Those are my reports.
Thank you. So, okay, so we don't have any more. So the next would be the report of mobility and vehicles. Director Addington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee met on Wednesday, June 7th, which was one day after the GRF meeting last month, so this is a little old, but it's good. We all got a look at the members of the committee got a look at the new ProMaster low-floor van that's currently in service, and it had the new van smell. It was really nice, and it's like a small bus, and that was nice that we got to see it, and when it was still so new. And it's a much more efficient fuel-wise, and even though it doesn't take as many passengers, it's got plenty of room for, I think it's 8 passengers, I forget exactly, and plenty of room for wheelchairs and shopping carts and stuff like that. It was fun. But then getting down to the serious business, Director Carroll of General Services presented a report proposing that the committee authorize the utilization of Sourcewell and its contractee 72-hour LLC for an efficient vehicle procurement process, simplifying and expediting the purchase of vehicles. And that basically will be every time they want to replace a car, they don't have to go through the general services doesn't have to keep coming back and back and back to the committee and the board. And this didn't, there was no outlay of money, and this was passed unanimously. And after that, as part of that process, the committee reviewed and approved the 2023 vehicle purchase specifications. And Mr. Carroll presented a report recommending that the committee approve the 2023 vehicle specs, and the report included vehicle specs for the purchases intended for our 2023 CIP. And that motion passed 5-1 with one abstention. And finally, it had been approved in the 2023 budget, but approved in 2022. The part of the plan had been to purchase 4 F-350 trucks for the fleet. And of course, the price on everything goes up, but Mr. Carroll presented a report recommending that the committee approve the purchase of 3 Ford F-350 trucks instead of 4. So, of course, we had no problem granting him permission to do that unanimously because it was 3 instead of 4. So the next meeting date is August the 2nd, 2023, at the same time in the afternoon here in the room, and it's an open meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next report is Security Community Access Committee, Director Skillman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Security and Community Access met on June 28th. We went over the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, which I'll be reporting on later. Anyway, it's moving the office from here on the first floor over to the security offices in the rental building that we're doing next door. So that won't be there anymore. And then we talked about the educational pieces that will be going on to Channel 6. One of the interesting statistics, as you on the board know, that we have had at least one member who has been very vocal at our board meetings about the amount of suicides in the village. And so I had asked security to check into that, and that's not true. We have had almost no suicides. We have a number of deaths. We have 11 in the last 2 months, but that's our population. They are not suicides. They were natural or medical causes, etc. So looking at statistics, which we got from the state, we are way, 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 way at the bottom of the list. We talked about the Neighborhood Watch. They had asked us to get information on Neighborhood Watch, and we're still looking into policies on that. It's not just a simple thing of saying, oh, yep, we're going to have a Neighborhood Watch. You want to be on the Neighborhood Watch. There are specific things that policies that we have to be in tune with. We have to enroll in it, and there's education and that. So we're still looking at that. One of the big issues was the community crosswalks. And we put that on our future agenda, and Chief Nunes and I will be meeting with Robert Carroll because it's General Services who actually paints the crosswalks, et cetera. And some of the things that they were looking at was not just the need for new ones, but updating the ones that we have. They are so faded that people can't often see them, and it doesn't say stop ahead or anything like that. So we're going to meet with Director Carroll and see what we can come up with for that for our next meeting. The other thing that had a lot of discussion was the fire alert pilot program that we had, and it was done before the pandemic, so we're really just getting the information back on that. But some of the interesting statistics that we got was that of all the kitchen fires that we have, 46% of the residents had left the stove unattended, and 36% had left the residence with the stove or oven on. Only 17% of the residents were actually in the kitchen when the incident occurred. And so there's a lot of education that we really need to do to our residents with the electric stoves and all that we have. It's very good. So anyway, it was a very interesting report, and I congratulate security on putting together those statistics. Our next meeting will be August 23rd, and we're also going to be looking at clutter items in the carport. We had various responses from people in our audience who said, my carport was cleaned and I got notices saying I couldn't keep my grocery cart in there. I had my car cart cleaned and nobody said anything about mine. There was no note left. So there's no consistency on what we actually can have in the carport that is not considered clutter. So we are looking into that with compliance as well. And the next meeting is August 23rd at 1:30 here in the boardroom.
So I have one question. Where is disaster recovery being moved? You said that the people here on the first floor?
Yes, they closed down the office. Well, it used to be the Globe office, the one in the corner there. I believe compliance may be taking it over. But yeah, it's moved to our next door building where security has moved. And Ed Green, the disaster preparedness coordinator, has a part-time office over there. He's not a full-time employee.
So do our people access that office?
Nope. But we've had very little access. The office over here was open 2 hours a day when we could get a volunteer to staff it. It was usually 10 to 12, and it was open 3 or 4 times a week, usually. The sales of the supplies that we had for disaster recovery were zilch. So it wasn't worth setting up something else. Again, when we get into the space study, there is a place that has been carved out for them if we go with that option.
So did we get an extra room? Have to pay for an extra room? Over here in this other building to place this?
No.
Okay,
There's a
that's what I
desk
was
in the
curious at.
security
It was-
area.
It was one that was already there,
Yes.
we were already renting,
Yes.
or leasing?
Right. In the security area that's being leased, there's a desk that's being shared by Ed and one other.
Okay. So you were talking, and I want to talk to you further, but some of these things that you're addressing are a third mutual or a housing mutual issue. And especially when it comes to the carports and the clutter and that sort of thing is actually a third issue. I mean, a housing issue, I should not say third. So
it's done by our security staff.
It may be done by your security staff, but it is still a housing issue.
The compliance issue is when they're, although we also on our compliance, we have clutter items in on the compliance list. So anyway, compliance is covered under security and community access. It's one of the areas that security oversees. So that's why I brought it up. But yes, we will bring it up to the mutuals as well.
Right. Okay. Did you have a question?
I was about to say, the compliance, while it's a mutual issue, you're talking about the consistency of
Yes, exactly.
application.
The consistency is what we're concerned with.
Okay. So the next item is report of the Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings, which is Director Addington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The June meeting of the traffic hearings was canceled, and So the last one was held on May 17th and was reported on during the June GRF meeting. And the next hearings will be on July 19th at 2023 at 9 a.m. As a closed meeting. I wish that didn't keep saying virtual because this is a public document and this is to Michaela, I guess, or to Siobhan. Instead of saying virtual, could we just say closed? I mean, because virtual, yes, the people, the traffic people can show up virtually, the people that are going to be interviewed, but it's closed because of confidentiality. So when you read this, it sounds like anybody can show up as a virtual participant.
On the agenda, it should say closed meeting on the top right-hand side of the agenda.
Oh, it does, but it's just in this, the report.
Oh, the report. Okay.
This report, it's the same every month, and I keep meaning to mention it. So anyway, at a closed meeting on July 19th, 2023 at 9 in the morning in the conference room, this room. Thank you.
We'll update that so it states closed meeting instead of virtual. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. So the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, of which I am chair, basically what we're doing at this point in time is we are trying to accumulate all the documents that are addressed to what the process is. I think that there's always been a lot of confusion as to what the process is for compliance. So we're trying to clear that up, and they are putting together all of the applicable documents that we can merge into one document so that there's a clear understanding of all of the procedures and provisions that actually go into the compliance process. So I'm really happy to work with them on that. And the other one is our reports. And so we're asking for more detail on the report so that GRF has a complete understanding as to the issues that we have. It's just that GRF in the past few years before I got on the board, there were a lot of decisions made that basically GRF was not involved in compliance, and they had basically the boards at that time decided that they wanted the mutuals to handle it, and we found that it was more advantageous for GRF to handle issues and disciplinary issues that happen on our property. And so we've been doing that, and so far we've now established to have a meeting, an executive hearing once a month. And one of the comments made by staff basically says this is really great because they're all paying their bills now. So that's one accomplishment. So our next meeting will be July 14th at 9:30 in the Sycamore Room. So for the Executive Member Hearings Committee, basically this is confidential because I know I'm looking at you, but I wasn't. I was trying to talk to everybody.
You just said confidential, and I don't think that we want confidential stuff on the TV.
And that's what I was going to say, that it is confidential. These are disciplinary hearings, and it's required that it be confidential. But I have to say that GRF has been successful as far as reestablishing this committee. So that's the only thing I want to say about that. Okay, so the next is disaster preparedness, and that's Director Skillman.
Disaster Preparedness Task Force met on June 5th, and it was an off day. Usually it's the 4th of the month, but again, our scheduling is all off because of other meetings. I was not able to attend. Director Addington sat in for me, and of course, Director Mojave was also there. Some of the things that they went over were, again, the moving of the office being shut down over here and moving over there, and backup generator plans for the various clubhouses, and also, here we go. There's one more thing I wanted to bring out. Anyway, the OCFA and OCSD representatives, the fire department and the sheriff's department, have been asked to be at our next meeting, which will be July 25th at 9:30 a.m. Did you have something to add, Director Addington?
I thought I reported on that last time, but I didn't do as nice a job as you did. But wasn't our last meeting on June the 6th? No, I know, but I mean the GRF board meeting was on June the 6th.
Okay.
And but you did a much better job. So I think I reported on that.
Okay, all right, well, July 25th, folks, unless we get moved around again.
Okay. Have you completed your report, right? You verified that the meeting is on July 25th? Okay, thank you.
Unless we get moved around again.
Okay, so the next report will be the ITech Committee, Director Hopkins.
Thank you. And every month we meet and we go over our progress. You know, this is a 2.5 to 3 year process. We started about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And so last time I reported, we fell slightly behind in terms of the schedule. Part of it was because of we needed more resource or staff augmentation in order to complete some of the tests. Glad to say that we've kind of caught up on that part of it, and so we're doing well on that. The other part of the delay was we've got vendors or partners that we have to coordinate activities with, and they have to cooperate, and they have to put some resource into it. And they've been they've been behind, just to put it bluntly, and we're starting to catch up with that also. So while we're slightly behind in schedule, and of course, you know, theoretically, time is money, we're just slightly behind, and we expect to be able to catch up with no change in the ultimate goal and schedule.
I've just seen great progress, I think, on the tech, and I'm so excited that this is actually beginning to happen now, because it's going to improve our processes.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, thank you, President. I mean, we have not, did a mundane report, but we're pretty much excited about what's going on.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a sea change, and what I think the average resident or average person will see is just results. They won't see again, this is like the blood and guts, but the result is you live better, and so if you fix it. And so that's what's happening. It's underneath the covers, but boy, it's moving, and it's pretty exciting for us involved.
Right, thank you. So, yes, John?
When's the date of your next meeting?
The next, we meet every last Friday, so I'm not sure what the actual date is, but the last Friday in every month is when we meet.
Okay. That'd be July 21st.
28th.
28th?
28.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last one here is the Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, and the meeting that we had, basically, Dan and I needed to work together, Dan Hoxie, and to update the purchasing policy. I spent this whole last week, not the whole lot, but almost a day, going through the policy and adding comments based upon making sure that it syncs with the new operating system that we had. So I finished that up and sent it to Dan. And so we're going to review that, and once it's reviewed, we'll bring it back to the committee to go over any recommended changes. And I don't know if it's going to take 1 or 2 meetings for us to completely go through the policy again. But once the committee does that, we'll bring it to all the boards, because all boards would adopt the purchasing policy. So we'll want to have one meeting, just like we do the audit meetings, and have all the boards vote on it at the same time. That way, everybody can ask the same questions, we can hear the questions, and we can get it done in a timely manner. And that's what I'm for, you know, to get things done in a timely manner. So with that being said, we have, it says the future agenda items are garden center, veggie pods, rental fee, which we discussed today, pricing rates for the electrical charger, charging stations. We discussed that today. So are there any suggestions as to the future agenda? I think we ought to put one on there, and that was the one that's for security, that Director Nunes is going to come up on
The traffic.
the traffic light, right? Okay, so let's go around and director comments. We'll start with you, Egon.
No comments, thank you.
All right.
I have a question on our Granicus system. I can see Debbie. Hi, Debbie. But there is the little icon for participants down here. I would like to know who else is on, but I can't see them. I can press it, nothing comes up. So is there any way that we can facilitate that so that we can see who is in attendance? Maybe they're not a...
Yeah, that's something that's on my screen here, and it's just displayed on all of your guys' monitors. But what I can do, if you'd like, is this is kind of what it would look like. It just takes up a lot of room, so I'm not sure where to leave it, but I can kind of have it like up here,
I
just so you guys can
particularly
see
would
that.
like to see the attendees.
Right.
There you go. See?
But there are portions of the meeting where it gets really long and there's a lot of attendees, so it will end up taking a big portion of the screen, and we will need to use that for PowerPoints and whatnot as well.
Yeah, but that would only be used if intermittently, if, I would not keep it on all the time. It just, when different items come up that I'm interested in, who was interested in it, I would like to be able to access that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Yvonne?
Oh, no comment.
Elsie?
No comment.
Jim?
No comment.
Raisa?
I'm not going to break that, no comment.
Well, sounds like we're all hungry, so I'm going to pass on to Joan.
Hungry.
Okay.
I have a comment for.
Okay.
It is for our VMS Transportation Department. My car was not available and I had a doctor's appointment. So I thought, well, we have bus, but that will not fit me, my schedule. So I called the Transportation Department. And lo and behold, that they arranged a point-to-point, my place to the doctor's office, and they asked me when do I want to come back. I said, well, about 1 hour. And they arranged. So it was a very nice service that I got, and I want to congratulate what you guys do.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Martin?
I just want to say that got a lot of coals in the fire, a lot of things that go on. It's like been my first full month, and there's a lot of things that going on that we haven't even touched on, but it's just, it's remarkable that all the committees and all the work that you guys do. I I appreciate it.
Us
really
guys,
do.
Martin, us
They did-
guys.
they-
Us guys. That's you.
They did a very good job on my carport, incidentally. And that, the finance thing, the 2% thing, I mean, JP Morgan lost 13%, okay? So, you could get a job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to.
Wendy.
Oh, sorry, Debbie, I would not forget you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, see, I was going to just say good meeting, and I was going to tell Juanita that at one point the only resident on was Richard Rader, and the other people as participants are SK Park and Cynthia Rupert. So, but yeah, thank you.
Those ones are
good
important for
meeting.
me to know,
Okay,
those two.
all right. And anyway, I'll see you guys upstairs where I won't get to have lunch with you.
Okay, all right, thank you. I guess I gotta put the gavel here. And basically, we will recess and reconvene for our closed meeting.
President
time?
Carpenter, it's currently 12:20.
12:20, so 1 o'clock? No, is that too late? 12:20, it's 1 o'clock, okay. Goodbye.
Bye. See you on the Zoom upstairs.
Okay.
I'll be late. I've got to take my wife to